Hello and good evening. Hola y buenas tardes. Welcome to another lesson here with Peter, your host of the English class here at the Potter's House Christian Church in San Jose, California. Mi nombre es Pedro, soy el maestro de la clase de inglés aquí en San Jose, California, en la casa del alfarero, una iglesia cristiana que te ama y una iglesia que te quiere ayudar en cualquier forma que podamos. En esa forma, esa noche, esa tarde, es la forma de ayudarte a aprender, en particular, a aprender el idioma inglés. Tonight, this is one of the ways, many ways, that the church here in San Jose wants to help you, and in this particular case, learning English. So join with me as we continue our series in Narnia. Acompáñame mientras continuamos con nuestra serie Lecturas en Narnia. Today, we are going to be doing chapter 4. If you're with our live stream last week, we apologize for the technical difficulties with the audio. Discúlpanos por los dificultades que tuvimos con el audio la semana pasada. Es que había algunos problemas con el audio y cortó, y pues el capítulo 4 no hubo. Entonces vamos a repasar a capítulo 4. We are going to return to chapter 4 and see what we can there. If you were able to hear last week, we were looking at metaphors and other vocabulary. Again, I encourage you, wherever you are, on your computer or on a piece of paper, to write your own words down. So again, the link is in the description to where you can read an online e-version. En la descripción del video hay un link a una página de web donde puedes leer el capítulo, donde puedes leer el libro. Puedes leer conmigo en ese momento. All right? So, vale. Vamos a comenzar. We're going to go and start. Again, make your own vocab list and write down the words that are new for you. Haz tu propia lista de vocabulario y escribe ahí en tu página, físicamente en un papel o en un documento digital. A digital document, it could be Word document or Google Docs, lo que sea. Escribe las palabras que escuches ahí y vale, vamos a comenzar. We're going to go ahead and start reading chapter 4, Turkish Delight. "But what are you?" said the queen again. "Are you a great overgrown dwarf that has cut off its beard?" "No, your majesty," said Edmund. "I never had a beard. I am a boy." "A boy?" said she. "Do you mean you are a son of Adam?" Edmund stood still, saying nothing. He was too confused by this time to understand what the question meant. "I see you are an idiot, whatever else you may be," said the queen. "Answer me once and for all, or I shall lose my patience. Are you human?" "Yes, your majesty," said Edmund. "And how, pray, did you come to enter my dominions?" "Please, your majesty, I came in through a wardrobe." "A wardrobe? What do you mean?" I opened the door and just found myself here, your majesty," said Edmund. "Ha," said the queen, speaking more to herself than to him. A door from the world of men. I have heard of such things. This may wreck all. But he is only one, and he is easily dealt with." As she spoke these words, she rose from her seat and looked Edmund full in the face, her eyes flaming. At the moment, she raised her wand. Sorry, I missed a word there. At the same moment, she raised her wand. And also, I do want to go back and look at this metaphor. Quiero regresar a esa oración, esa frase, y mirar una metáfora. Una metáfora que tenemos aquí es her eyes flaming. So, la oración dice, as she spoke these words, she rose from her seat and looked Edmund full in the face, her eyes flaming. Literalmente, la palabra flaming, quizás ya sabes que flaming es un verbo de la palabra flame, ¿no? En inglés, flame, o en español, llama, o una flama de fuego, ¿no? Entonces, flaming es un verbo gerundo. It's a gerund verb. Therefore, flaming, it has to be something on fire, right? But in this case, of course, it is a metaphor. Es una metáfora. Entonces, her eyes flaming, o en español podemos decir sus sus ojos de flamas, sus ojos de llamas, ojos ardiendo, es una otra traducción muy buena de esa frase, sus ojos ardiendo. Ok, pues claro que no es literal, claro que es una metáfora. Entonces podemos decir, podemos inferir, we can infer, podemos inferir que está diciendo el autor, el escritor, el narrador, está diciéndonos que está con mucho, no solamente coraje, pero más que eso está esa mujer, y por el contexto donde encontramos esa frase, her eyes flaming, we can say, podemos decir that she is angry, está enojada. La reina que es en realidad, de verdad, es la bruja, pero ya no sabe Edmundo. Pues sí, pues bien, está enojada, está con mucha coraje, pero de una forma muy enojada. Y eso es lo que significa her eyes flaming. La metáfora significa que está enojada. Vale, vamos a continuar. Her eyes flaming. At the same moment, she raised her wand. Edmund felt sure that she was going to do something dreadful, but he seemed unable to move. Then, just as he gave himself up for lost, she appeared to change her mind. "My poor child," she said in quite a different voice. How cold you look. Come and sit with me here on the sled, and I will put my mantle around you and we will talk. Edmund did not like this arrangement at all, but he dared not disobey. He stepped on the sled and sat at her feet, and she put a fold of her fur mantle around him and tucked it well in. "Perhaps something hot to drink?" said the queen. "Should you like that?" "Yes, please, your majesty," said Edmund, whose teeth were shattering. The queen took from somewhere among her wrappings a very small bottle, which looked as if it were made of copper. Then, holding out her arm, she let one drop fall from it onto the snow beside the sled. Edmund saw the drop from a second in midair, shining like a diamond. But the moment it touched the snow, there was a hissing sound, and there stood a jeweled cup full of something that steamed. The dwarf immediately took this and handed it to Edmund with a bow and a smile. Not a very nice smile. Edmund felt much better as he began to sip the hot drink. It was something he had never tasted before, very sweet and foamy and creamy, and it warmed him right down to his toes. "It is dull, son of Adam, to drink without eating," said the queen presently. "What would you like best to eat?" "Turkish delight, please, your majesty," said Edmund. The queen let another drop fall from her bottle onto the snow, and instantly there appeared a round box tied with green silk ribbon, which, when opened, turned out to contain several pounds of the best Turkish delight. Each piece was sweet and light to the very center, and Edmund had never tasted anything more delicious. He was quite warm now and very comfortable. Let's make a quick note just about spelling. Vamos a hacer una nota de la ortografía en inglés. Es muy interesante porque esa parte encontramos la palabra center o centro en español, y eso es podemos decir, es un ejemplo de la diversidad en inglés, ¿vale? Center, escrito como así. Center, written like this, C-E-N-T-R-E, R-E at the end, is a British way of spelling. Es ortografía británica o inglesa. Creo que también en Canadá y otras partes del Commonwealth británica escriben center así. Centro está escrito así. Pero en los Estados Unidos, in America, in the United States, we write it E-R at the end. So in American literature, in American books, in American writing, wherever you go, you'll see C-E-N-T-R, C-E-N-T-E-R, E-R at the end, E-R, en la terminación de la palabra. Ok, vamos a continuar. Let's continue on. While he was eating, the queen kept asking him questions. At first, Edmund tried to remember that it is rude to speak with one's mouth full. But soon he forgot about this and thought only of trying to shovel down as much Turkish delight as he could. And the more he ate, the more he wanted to eat. And he never asked himself why the queen should be so inquisitive. Alright, let's go and stop again. Vamos a pasar una vez más. Y es porque encontramos una nueva metáfora. We find a new metaphor. This time, it is using the word shovel. It says, dice, and he thought only of trying to shovel down as much Turkish delight as he could. Alright, so, vale, ya sabemos, no está literalmente usando, en español creo que es una pala para excavar o una pala para meter y poner todo ese Turkish delight en su boca. Claro que eso no es literal, no tiene una pala, no tiene una herramienta de ninguna manera, de ninguna forma, perdón. Pero en inglés tenemos esa frase, trying to shovel down. Como ya dije, pala en español, shovel in English, it is a noun, and in this case, it is a verb. So you have shoveled the noun, and you have shoveled the verb. In this case, it is a verb. En ese caso, lo encontramos esa palabra como un verbo. Pero claro que ya sabemos, es un nombre, es un nombre también. Okay. So what is he trying to say? ¿Qué quiere decir el narrador en este momento? Que Edmundo está intentando comer lo más posible de esa dulce que pueda. Okay? He is trying to eat as much as he can because, I don't know, maybe it's so good, maybe it's enchanted, we don't know, we're going to find out soon. Pero, sí, okay. Es muy simple. To shovel down. No está hablando literalmente, es una metáfora. Está hablando de comerse mucho. Comer mucho de la dulce, lo más que pueda ese muchacho. Está tratando de comer y no puede parar. ¿Eso qué quiere decir? Es que he's trying to shovel down. Comer mucho, comer rápido. ¿Eso qué quiere decir? Shovel down. ¿Ok? Vale, vamos a continuar. We're going to continue. She got him to tell her that he had one brother and two sisters, and that one of his sisters had already been to Narnia and had met a faun there, and that no one except himself and his brother and his sisters knew anything about Narnia. She seemed especially interested in the fact that there were four of them, and she kept on coming back to it. You are sure that there are just four of you? She asked. 2 sons of Adam and 2 daughters of Eve, neither more nor less? And Edmund, with his mouth full of Turkish delight, kept on saying, yes, I told you that before, and forgetting to call her Your Majesty. But she didn't seem to mind now. At last, the Turkish delight was all finished, and Edmund was looking very hard at the empty box and wishing that she would ask him whether he would like some more. Probably the queen knew quite well what he was thinking, for she knew, though Edmund did not, that this was enchanted Turkish delight, and that anyone who had once tasted it would want more and more of it, and would even, if they were allowed, go on eating it till they killed themselves. But she did not offer him any more. Instead, she said to him, Son of Adam, I should so much like to see your brother and your 2 sisters. Will you bring them to me? And then Edmund goes on, but we'll stop for a second. So, there we see the answer. Ahí vemos la respuesta a la pregunta que yo hice unos segundos. ¿Por qué el mundo está... ¿Por qué quiere comerse mucho de la dulce? ¿Por qué quiere comer tanto de esa dulce? Ahí encontramos la respuesta en este último parágrafo. Es que la dulce está encantada, es mágica. Mágica que no es buena, ¿no? No es buena esa mágica, aquella mágica, porque la reina es una bruja y ya, es la parte de la historia. Pero vemos algo interesante, que hay una razón tras de por qué atrás del querer del niño, del chico, de querer comer mucho de esta dulce. Vale, okay. So we saw the answer, right? We saw the answer. The Turkish delight is enchanted. In other words, it is magical. La dulce, the Turkish delight, es encantada y es mágica. Okay. Vale. I'll try, said Edmund, still looking at the empty box. Because if you did come again, bringing them with you, of course, I'll be able to give you some more Turkish delights. I can't do it now. The magic will only work once. In my own house, it would be another matter. Why can't we go to your house now? Said Edmund. When he had first gone on the sled, he had been afraid that she might drive away with him to some unknown place from which he would not be able to get back. But he had forgotten about that fear now. It is a lovely place, my house, said the Queen. I am sure you would like it. There are whole rooms full of Turkish delights, and what's more, I have no children of my own. I want a nice boy whom I could bring up as a prince, and who would be king of Narnia when I am gone. While he was prince, he would wear a gold crown and eat Turkish delights all day long. And you are much the cleverest and handsomest young man I've ever met. I think I would like to make you the prince some day, when you bring the others to visit me. Why not now? Said Edmund. His face had become very red, and his mouth and fingers very sticky. He did not look either clever or handsome, whatever the Queen might say. Oh, but if I took you there now, she said, I shouldn't see your brother and sisters. I very much want to know your charming relations. You are to be the prince, and later on the king. That is understood. But you must have courtiers and nobles. I will make your brother a duke, and your sisters duchesses. There's nothing special about them, said Edmund, and anyway, I could always bring them some other time. Ah, but once you were in my house, said the Queen, you might forget about all of them. You might forget all about them. You would be enjoying yourself so much that you wouldn't want the bother of going to fetch them. No, you must go back to your own country now, and come to me another day, with them, you understand. It is no good coming without them. But I don't even know the way back to my own country, pleaded Edmund. That's easy, answered the Queen. Do you see that lamp? She pointed with her wand, and Edmund turned and saw the same lamppost under which Lucy had met the fawn. Straight on beyond that is the way to the world of men. And now look the other way. Here she pointed to the opposite direction, and tell me if you can see the two little hills rising above the trees. I think I can, said Edmund. Well, my house is between those two hills. So next time you come, you have only to find the lamppost and look for those two hills, and walk through the wood till you reach my house. You had better keep the river on your right when you get to it. But remember, you must bring the others with you. I might have to be very angry with you if you came alone. I'll do my best, said Edmund. And by the way, said the Queen, you needn't tell them about me. It would be fun to keep it a secret between us two, wouldn't it? Make it a surprise for them. Just bring them along to the two hills. A clever boy like you will easily think of some excuse for doing that. And when you come to my house, you could think of some excuse for doing that. And when you come, yes, again. So she says it twice, right? And when you come to my house, you could just say, I see where, I mixed two lines up. Sorry about that. All right, just back to that line. She says, a clever boy like you will easily think of some excuse for doing that. And when you come to my house, you could just say, let's see who lives here, or something like that. I am sure that would be best. If your sister has met one of the fawns, she may have heard strange stories about me, nasty stories that might make her afraid to come to me. Fawns will say anything, you know. And now, please, said Edmund suddenly, please, couldn't I have just one piece of Turkish delight to eat on the way home? No, said the Queen with a laugh. You must wait till next time." While she spoke, she signaled to the dwarf to drive on. But as the sled swept away out of sight, the queen waved to Edmund, calling out, next time, don't forget, come soon." Edmund was still staring after the sled when he heard someone calling his own name, and looking round, he saw Lucy coming towards him from another part of the wood. "Oh, Edmund," she cried, "so you've got in too! Isn't it wonderful? And now—" "All right," said Edmund. "I see you were right, and it is a magic wardrobe after all. I'll say I'm sorry if you like, but where on earth have you been all this time? I've been looking for you everywhere. If I'd known you had got in, I'd have waited for you," said Lucy, who was too happy and excited. ¿No? Es como de repente, snappishly. Otra manera, en otras palabras, Edmundo está hablando muy como, all right, I see you were right, así, en esa manera. Tiene una actitud, no las palabras, podemos decir. Ok, vale, vamos a continuar. "I've been having lunch with dear Mr. Tumnus, the fawn, and he's very well, and the White Witch has done something to him. And the White Witch has done nothing to him for letting me go. So he thinks she can't have found out, and perhaps everything is going to be all right after all." "The White Witch?" said Edmund. "Who's she?" "She is a perfectly terrible person," said Lucy. "She calls herself the Queen of Narnia, though she has no right to be queen at all. And all the fauns and dryads and naiads and dwarfs and animals, at least all the good ones, simply hate her. And she can turn people into stone and do all kinds of horrible things. And she has made a magic so that it is always winter in Narnia. Always winter, but it never gets to be Christmas. And she drives about on a sled, drawn by reindeer, with her wand in her hand and a crown on her head." Edmund was already feeling uncomfortable about having eaten too many sweets, and when he heard that the lady he had made friends with was a dangerous witch, he felt even more uncomfortable. But he still wanted to taste that Turkish delight again before he wanted anything else. "Who told you all that stuff about the White Witch?" he asked. "Mr. Tumnus the Fawn," said Lucy. "You can't always believe what fawns say," said Edmund, trying to sound as if he knew far more about them than Lucy. "Who said so?" asked Lucy. "Everyone knows it," said Edmund. "Ask anybody you like, but it's pretty poor sport standing here in the snow. Let's go home." "Yes, let's," said Lucy. "Oh, Edmund, I am glad you've got in too. The others will have to believe in Narnia now, and both of us have been there. What fun it will be." But Edmund secretly thought it would not be as good fun for him as for her. He would have to admit that Lucy had been right before all the others, and he felt sure the others would all be on the side of the fawns and the animals. But he was already more than half on the side of the witch. He did not know what he would say, or how he would keep his secret once they were all talking about Narnia. By this time, they had walked a good way. Then suddenly they felt coats around them instead of branches, and next moment they were both standing outside the wardrobe in the empty room. "I say," said Lucy, "you do look awful, Edmund. Don't you feel well?" "I'm all right," said Edmund, But this was not true. He was feeling very sick. "Come on then," said Lucy. "Let's find the others. What a lot we shall have to tell them. And what adventures we shall have now that we're all in it together." All right, and that concludes this chapter of Narnia, of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Eso concluye este capítulo 4 de Narnia, del libro de El León, la Bruja y el Armario. Bueno, lo que hemos aprendido hoy son dos metáforas y espero que hayas escuchado más que eso. Espero que hayas escuchado, que hayas tomado tus propias notas y que hayas aprendido mucho en esa lección. Eso es un servicio para ayudaros, para traeros algo para mejorar, para ampliar vuestros propios estudios de inglés en una serie como leyendo libros juntos. Bueno, con eso voy a preguntar si hay unos comentarios. Are there any comments? No? Okay. Just as a reminder, we want to hear your comments, so please send them if you have them now or through our email there on the channel. Send us your questions, send us your notes. We want to get better at this service, so if you have any suggestions, si tienes unas sugerencias, unas preguntas, mándanoslo. Queremos escuchar de vosotros, nuestro público, nuestros lectores que están leyendo con nosotros. We want to hear from you. So, with that, some reminders. Join us next week for Chapter 5. Acompáñenos la próxima semana, próximo lunes, para capítulo 5, el quinto capítulo, mientras continuamos en esta serie. And without further ado, we will say goodbye. Buenas noches y buenas tardes. Good night, good evening. We'll see you next week.